This video covers the individual exercise for Route 63 Superelevation in Chapter 7. First step that they have you do in the book is to open up the Superelevation file to begin work with. Now, we were already in the Superelevation file when we created Road 1. Now we're simply going back and add the Superelevation of 63 in that same file. So you would navigate to your district CAD folder, your design folder, your Randolph folder, the J2P0200 folder, Data 7, Superelevation. Once you open it up, you'll see that Road 1 Superelevation sections out there and the Superelevation shapes, and the calculation's been done. So you can see by the shading of the Superelevation. We're here to do Route 63. So once you have this file open, and references should be attached and look like they do here, and all you really need for Superelevation again is just the civil geometry part of it. So once it's attached, which we previously had done, now all we need to do is go to the corridor modeling task group and select the tool to create your superelevations. So we have our tasks, civil tools, corridor modeling, and the first superelevation icon is the one that creates superelevation sections. This is the one we're going to click on. So we'll enable that. We come out to our screen. We get a name. We want to name this, so we're going to call this one Route 63. Route 63. And then we'll go ahead and accept that by left clicking. Step 4 asks us to follow the heads up prompt which says locate the alignment. So all you simply have to do is go over to the Route 63 alignment, hover over it. You'll see that it is the complex element Route 63, and it does have an active profile of Route 63 PR. So we'll just click that to start the tool. Okay, now it's wanting to know the stationing that we're going to do. And the stationing for this superelevation that we're going to do, we're just going to do it from beginning to end because there is only one curve in here again. So there's no need to do anything else. So we're going to go Alt to start. And then once we hit the Alt button, it gives me my beginning stationing of 9 plus 50. So we'll accept that. And then where do we want to finish this at? So we'll just either go down to the bottom past the alignment, which gives us our ending point, or you can hit Alt again. I'm just going to go beyond it and left click. Okay, now it wants to know about the minimum tangent length, and we described this before in the other chapter when we did the group exercise. Minimum tangent length comes into play when you have more than one curve on an alignment that has different design speeds. We only have one, so we'll leave this at 0. Okay, so it goes on to paints our shape out there for us. In our section, we got that green line for our section of our Route 63. Now what we want to do is start creating the lane names. Okay, and in this exercise here with Route 63, we're actually going to have 4 lanes. It's a 4-lane divided highway. Okay, so now it's asking for a lane name. We'll go ahead and enter from step 8, northbound inside. So we'll do a capital NBI inside. Okay, and then we'll go ahead and data point to accept that value, and we'll set the primary, the type to primary, which is a left click, and that is step 9. Step 10 says set the side of the center line to left, so we'll use the default value that we have in there, left. If we wanted to change it, of course, you'd use your down arrow to change it. We need left and we're fine, so we'll left click it. Inside edge offset, we're going to go with is, and step number 11 is 30, so that's 30 foot, giving us room for our median in there. So hit 30 and hit the enter key, which is the same as data clicking. Now the width of the shapes that we want to create, again, need to match what we used in our template. And I know our template, we used 12-foot lane width, so let's do that again, and we'll use a 12 to match it. And the reason we do this is we want it to match the template point, because it's going to seek out in the superelevation that point, and if we have it at 12 foot, it will find the template point that we used. So 12 foot's good. We'll key it in, hit the enter key. Okay, step 13 says enter a normal cross slope of plus positive 2% and data point it. So we'll just key in 2, hit the enter key, and it gives us a positive. Now, if we zoom in a little bit, you can see there's a yellow shape on that left side. So one of the lanes have been created, and it's also wanting to move into the next lane. So we're going to do a northbound outside. So we'll key in NBO outside. Okay, so that'll be the new lane name. So we'll just go ahead and enter that. In step 15, it is also primary. It's the side of the center line would be left in step 16, so we'll go with that. The inside edge offset is 42 feet, so we're 30 foot off the baseline for the beginning of the first lane. We add the 12 foot to that, and that's how we get the 42 foot. So we'll key in 42, enter. The lane width will also be 12 foot as well, because that's what we use in our template, so we'll accept that. The cross slope will be a -2% here, so we'll do a -2 and hit enter. And now we see our green shape is popped in, so we're good. Tool's ready to do another one. So we're going to go ahead and do let's see, step number 20. So we're going to go to doing a southbound outside. So we'll do a SB outside for a lane name. And we'll go ahead and accept that value. It is also primary. We'll stay with primary. The side of the center line is now right, so we're going to use our down arrows to change that value to right, and then left click to accept it. So the down arrow on your keyboard is the way to change that. Set the inside edge offset. We're going to go with 42 because we're actually doing the outside lane first, and we know where it's at, so we'll key in 42. Enter that, and the lane width will be 12 again, matching our template. And the cross slope will also be -2% on the outside, so we'll go with that. And you see we now have another shape. So that's our third shape. Now we're on step 26. We create our fourth and final shape. We're going to call this one southbound inside. So SBI, and we'll accept that, southbound inside. It is also primary. Step 28 says the center line is to the right, so we'll go with the right. The inside edge offset is now 30 because we're doing the inside shape, so we'll go 30 foot from the baseline. Accept that, and we're going to key in 12 for the width, and again that matches our template width. And our cross slope here will be a +2% to enter. Now we have both our shapes, so we're good with our shapes. And step 32 tells us to reset to continue. If there were more lanes, you can continue creating more lanes, but we're at a stopping point on that. So we'll right click, and that advances the tool to this calculate superelevation dialog. So we have to go out and find an SEP file to attach, and it's easily done by using the button out here with the 3 buttons to it, 3 dots, or you can do an Alt down to select it, and you can read that in the heads up prompt. It says select standards file, Alt down to select. So you can use the Alt key and hit the down arrow. It'll bring up the same dialog as hitting that button. First it defaults out to project wise. Our files are not kept or stored in project wise, so we'll hit cancel. And then it goes out to our T drive, mode workspace, GEOPAK standard, and then Superelevation. And the one we're going to pick for this is our MoDOT standard plans divided. So we'll pick that second option and then hit the open button. That advances the tool. It picked our standards, so we're good. It's up on our cursor, so we can go accept that, and that is all step 33, so we'll just go ahead and accept that. The E selection will be 8%, and this is step 34, so we'll data point to accept that. If we wanted to change it, use the down arrows. The L selection is all cases, so we'll accept that. Design speed is 70. Now you will have to use your down arrows to kind of choose that 70 speed. So down till you get to 70. Once it's at 70, go ahead and left click to accept it. Its transition ID is actually linear, so we'll go with that. And it's step 38. It says select 4 for the number of lanes, so we'll change it to 4. Oh, down arrow to 4. Once you get that, go ahead and accept it. We do have a divided facility, so we're going to go ahead and accept that. And then in step 40, it says, let's open up the editor. Yes, just to kind of look at some things. So we'll hit yes on that and then accept it. So once we click, it's going to go out and calculate our super elevation. It tells me at the bottom the status part's been completed. Now it's going to bring up our editor since we chose to do the editor. And I will move it over, and you can see there's some shapes and colors down below. So I'm going to open this up. A little bit of a lag going on. Route 63, we have our northbound inside, northbound outside, southbound outside, southbound inside. And again, this is fully editable in this dialog here. So that's the editor. I'll go ahead and close it out. Okay, and so if I zoom out, I can see that we now have our super elevation. You just have this blue shape in here, and you can see where it transitions with coloring and stuff. And if you click on the shape, you can get a color to it, so you can see what's going on. It's got different colors in there. Tell us what their stations and our slopes are, our cross slopes are. Okay, so this is done on the super elevation part of it. So now what we need to do is in step 41, open the corridors file, which I'm going to go to project wise. I'm going to find that data 7 folder, and I'm looking for my corridors file. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and double click on that to open it. It's going to open the document and prompt us to check in the super elevation, which I want to do because I made some changes to it. So that's done. And we'll wait for the file to load. Okay, you can see the super elevation file is turned on, the reference file. If it wasn't, you would just simply go to your reference dialog and make sure that your super elevation file has this display turned on. Ours is already turned on. You can see it in the background. I can see over on Route 63, here's my super elevation in there. So now the next big thing about this is to apply it to that corridor. And you can do this of one of two ways. You can actually do it from the corridor pop-up, which we'll go ahead and do it that way this time since Road 1 we used it from the tool. Once you get your heads-up prompts of that corridor for Route 63, you just come down to the corridor creation tools, which is the hammer, and it will be the last option on there. So we'll come down to assign super elevation corridor, and then we're going to go out and it asks us to locate the first super elevation section. We're going to go out and we're going to pick this shape, not the terrain, of course. I was hovering over the terrain. We're going to go out and pick that Route 63 shape that we created, which is that green line that we did the super elevation. So we'll identify it, and then we can locate more if we had more. We're at a point where we can reset to complete. So we'll simply right click. It's going to bring up the associate super elevation dialog, which just tells us what super elevating point it's using and what pivot points it's using to get our supers. Okay, and it has our stationing as well. So we can go ahead and hit the OK button. And it's going to run out and it's going to process our super elevation. You can see in the bottom right, it's processing the corridor right now. And there we go. So now that we've finished it, and it's still not finishing, it's waiting. We shall wait. No clicky clicky. It gets a little touchy when you start clicking things while you're in the middle of a process. So now that I've done that, I'm going to hit the F4 key and drop it. I want to open up a window to look at my dynamic cross sections to make sure that my super elevation was applied to the Route 63. So I go to my Route 63 corridor, my heads up display, go to my second option, move down to where I can get my open cross section model, click on it. It tells me to select or open a view. I'm going to go ahead and open view 8. And what it has in it is what I've viewed in it before, which was Road 1. So what I want to do is actually left click in that window, just like it's telling me select or open view. So I'm going to go ahead and select that view 8. And what will happen is it'll go out there and show me my Route 63 dynamic cross sections. Meantime, since it hasn't been in there, it's going to process, and then we should get a picture of the 63. There it is. I can tell, even though that we're not at a section where we have supers going on, but I can tell there's already 4 magenta points out here, square magenta points out here. That tells me that my super elevation has been applied, but I want to look at it in an area where there's a curve. So what you can do is just right click, hold for a second in that window, that view 8 window, and come up and get a locate station via data point, that option. When you do that, it's going to give us a heads up display, heads up prompt that says select plan or profile view. I'm going to come out in this plan view, okay, and I'm going to click it. And when I do, I get this line rubber banding for my cursor. And all I really want to do is get down to a point where it's in the curve situation. And again, I could key in 38 plus 65 or whatever I want. I'm at 38 plus 66.65. I'm just going to click it. That will take that data point and input that into my cross-section view, so I can see I do have super elevations going on left and right side. When you're finished, all you really want to do is update your server copy and do your saves, and you're finished on that. And that concludes chapter 7.